elevate. Time to elevate now. Gotta elevate. Yeah, elevate, 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 elevate now. Elevate. No time like the present now.
We're back again. We were talking about money last time. Now we're talking about work. We decided to do a part 2 to this.
Why not?
Because the conversation was just still flowing. I'm back again with Jermaine Lynch, back on the FMP Faith and Manhood Podcast.
FMP.
Welcome back, bro.
Thank you very much.
And I'm saying welcome back. We're still in the same outfits. We didn't leave the studio.
I should have taken my thing off to pretend, innit?
Listen, we want to just quickly talk about work because that topic is one that there's so many different flavors to it, and we know everyone's doing different careers and stuff. Work is a complicated thing because we're in a generation of where people are a lot more keen to run their own businesses, do their own creative enterprises, and have multiple streams of income in addition to, say, the 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Like, it's different now. And we're still all going through the same financial crisis in the world, but like work is so different flavored. And I hear a lot of different mindsets and stuff come on. So now you got, I'm not going to mention the name, but a big CEO who's putting out a lot of stuff online now. Jermaine's smiling because he knows who I'm talking about, and talking about principles of work and like meetings and all that stuff. And then you've got like this whole world where somebody can say something and whole industries of people are just flocking and just getting upset about stuff. And, you know, like... Work is mad now, isn't it? It's just weird now.
And do you know what's interesting about work at the moment? And I was on the seminar. There's 5 generations of people in the workplace at the moment. Because if you think about it, so me and you would be counted as millennials.
Yeah.
Below us is Generation Z. So that's people that are up to around 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
Then I can't even remember all the names of the Ys.
Yeah.
But there's 5 different generations in the workplace. So that takes a lot of nuances because different types of people, right, means that work becomes a very interesting place.
And different people have different perspectives towards work as well, 100%. Right? So,
as a manager, how is that? How have you seen that play out as a manager?
Right. It's funny you ask that. It's been weird for me. I'm probably one of the youngest manager in my area.
Okay.
And I've come in. So when I got this job, one of the things that I prayed about before I got into this company, I said like, okay, I had been working like long hours far away from home previously. And I said, look, Lord, ultimately, I do want to earn more, but I want to be able to spend more time with you.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to spend more time with my wife, who at the time was my fiance.
Okay.
And I feel like he honored that. But also, the reason I mentioned that is because work-life balance was something that was now super important to me. I wanted to be able to steward both. We talk about stewardship again. I wanted to be able to steward both well. Now, I come into work and not everybody has the same mindset.
Yep.
And sometimes I have kind of been, in some places, looked at it in a negative light for having that mindset.
Okay.
And you know, you hear people say things like rest is for the weak, sleep is for the weak, like or I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like people say things like that. And I've had to sort of take a step back and think, okay, I hear what you're saying, but isn't rest meant to be a good thing?
Yeah.
And we talked about Genesis last time we were talking.
Yeah.
One of the things that God does in the creation process is he has a 7th day where he rests. The one who doesn't get tired rests. And sometimes we think that rest is just because we're tired, because we need to sleep. Like we work until we've wiped out.
Yeah.
But God rested and he sanctified that day. That's the only day in creation that he set apart as holy.
Yeah.
So I think that says something to us about the importance of rest. Like, I mean, I don't know, what's that like for you in your world of work?
I've had to learn. So like I said before, I work in recruitment, and in the old days, and I say old days, before COVID, at the company I work at, it was very old school. So long hours, people eat their lunch at desk. Like it was, if you're getting up at 6 o'clock to leave, people would be like, oh, is it half day? That kind of culture. And to be fair, for a period of time, I needed to put my foot down to establish my career. But I then had to learn that you're more productive when you're working out of a place of rest.
Yeah.
And that was a journey, because like when I would go on annual leave, for example, and take a day off, and I'm at home, I'm still there checking emails. It's like I'm addicted. I'm checking emails. I'm seeing what's going on, which isn't rest at all. You're not really switching off, which then has a negative effect because you come back and you don't feel like you've actually done anything. So that's a real learning journey that I've had to go on, to actually take a break, take holidays. Having a holiday and switching off completely, I think is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah. Do you know what's mad? Until we got married, I hadn't been on holiday like for years.
Swear.
Like, because you know, everyone like jokes about, there was a time when we were going on holiday every year.
Yeah.
But before I got married, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
And so I went from job to job, from course to course, with no rest. And I didn't realize the effect that it had on me. I had no sort of emotional
Switch off. I would be tired out and have no emotional tank to give to my family, to give to my again at the time fiance. Yeah.
And I didn't realize just how impactful it was on things.
Because that's not the best version of you.
It's not the best version of me.
She's just getting the dregs from the reserves.
But sometimes you don't, in the moment, you don't realize that that's happening.
Do you think she realized?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think that's the thing. Like everyone says this thing of marriage is a mirror, and I 100% believe it. I was able to see myself better because my wife was able to speak to me about certain things that nobody had ever spoken to me about. Rest, man. Rest is important. And rest doesn't necessarily mean sleep. But if you look at the biblical definition of rest, I think it's Shabbat, the word is used, which is where we get Sabbath from, is to just stop, is to cease, is to be still. We need it. Like, and you think about mental health and stuff like that. Like what's tempting and what's dangerous is, so the type of work I do with IT, you're always fixing something. You're always the problem solver. You're always like doing something that makes life better for everyone or for the business. If I don't switch off, I will keep on doing it because there's always something that needs work. And then within me as a man, it's kind of feeding my ego a little bit. It's kind of feeding my sense of significance, my sense of importance. I am needed. Yeah. But I'm needed at home as well. Yeah. I'm needed by my wife. I'm needed by my son. I need me. Do you know what I mean? I need me to just be mentally all right. Yeah. But that's a little bit, it's not as measurable because it's more of an emotional thing. Whereas I can measure, you solved all of these IT issues today. Yep. You dealt with this issue with your team today. You made things better for like the CEO's office or whatever. Like that stuff I can measure and write down. I can see the emails. Yeah. But the emotional stuff,
it's harder to.
It's different. Yeah. It's different.
But you could argue, maybe even more important. Because they talk about the priorities, like God being your first ministry, then your household, your wife, and I guess your household being number 2. Yeah. Right. And work is number 3. So obviously you got to make work. We have to work as we've discussed, but being a husband, being a father, being the thing that you are in the home, that's very important. Yeah. So it needs the best Elliot. Yeah. And you can't get the best Elliot. It can't be the best Jermaine if I'm always doing priority number 3 because the priority order is wrong. Yeah. And that's something I've had to, I'm still working through, but I've had to really learn to make sure that my girls, my wife are getting the best version of me. Yeah. Yeah. It's a journey.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you know what as well? Like in my industry, I have to honor there are people who I'm working with who have put countless hours in. And sometimes those countless hours have been late nights, early mornings, not being able to switch off, everyone's going home at 5 o'clock. They're still there till 7 o'clock. But what they do very well. And, you know, I want to be at the same level. But I know if I don't look after that, again, back to gardens. Why did God give? Like, I feel like God sometimes does things because He knows the way that our minds are wired and what it's going to do.
Okay.
A garden, if you don't look after it, weeds grow.
Yeah.
Stuff that you don't want starts happening. Animals start mash up the thing.
Yeah.
You know, like we've actually been created and put in a place where our whole idea of reality is based on the fact that you can't just leave something alone and expect that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not instantly noticeable when it comes to home and family, but you get these moments after time has passed. Maybe the wife will say a certain comment or something that indicates, oh, she's not happy. And it's like, I didn't realize. I thought that I was working hard and bringing home the bacon and that, and that she was happy with all that, but actually she just needed me to be present. One thing you said to me the other day, we were planning to have a conversation, and you said that day, I'm not going to be able to do that day because I need to be present for my wife. And I had so much respect. I can't even explain that because I don't hear that a lot. I don't hear that a lot.
Yeah, man. I think, wow. Yeah, I remember that. And there were some evenings where and you got to be able to read the room, especially in the context of a relationship. And my wife's messaged me during the day, I miss you. Or I can't wait for you to be home and stuff like that. Where now I've learned, okay, she's communicating that she needs affection.
Yeah.
And then we were planning to speak that evening. And I knew that whilst my wife would have probably been fine with me talking to you because she knows who you are and loves you and as well, she needed me.
Yeah.
And I don't even think she knew that I was planning to speak to you that day. Yeah. But she needed me. And that is from a priority perspective, that needed to be at the top of my list at the time. And it was a good evening.
Yeah. And the thing is, let's be real, there's some mindsets that think that sort of stuff is just a bit wishy-washy and whatever. But fact is, you go back to the Bible again, there's a point where God is speaking to men who are involved in like military stuff and work and all that. And I think it was like in Leviticus or Numbers or Deuteronomy where God says to the men, take a year out to cheer up your wife. A year out from war, a year out from all these like heavy things to cheer up your wife. Now, I saw that and I thought, is it saying that like the wives are upset? Maybe, who knows? But actually God was basically saying the emotional health of your marriage takes priority over the other stuff.
I wish I could take a year, bro. I wish I could take a year, not gonna lie.
And the thing is, we can't take a year.
Yeah.
But actually, the days matter.
Yeah. The
evenings matter. The date nights still matter.
Yeah.
And it's like we're trying to find that balance as parents as well.
Yeah.
Of young children. But you know, the time matters. The quality time matters because ultimately, you know, if I'm doing well at work and my marriage is not happy, my wife doesn't feel that I care for her or that I'm present with her. The work's, I don't want it to reach the point where it's gone so far that I'm looking back thinking, there was that evening where I could have just not done this. There was this time when I could have done something differently because you can't take back time. And it takes time to rebuild trust and intimacy.
And it goes beyond just our 9-to-5 jobs in terms of work as well. It's the other stuff that we're involved in from the creative, like we're creative individuals, right?
Yeah.
It goes from
and ministry.
Church, that's another one in itself.
Yeah.
Because like we're blessed in the sense that both our wives, we do the similar things in ministry. But for those that might be watching or listening, where your partner does something different to you and you're not going to be serving at the same time.
Yeah.
That's different. You could both be doing something completely different on the Sunday or out different evenings of the week or whatever. And you're like, you could, what did they say? Your ships cross paths in the night or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
passing ships.
That's the one. Like that's important as well. So putting aside sometimes the creative and whatnot, just be present and just spend time together.
Yeah.
Date nights, like you said, I need to get on that more, bro. That was one of our year goals that we had a few years ago. And we were doing it. Then kids came, and I know
it changes things. It changes things. I think God gives us a grace for that though, because you know, with everything that happens, okay, you get married, you've got the time as just a married couple, then you have a child. It's not that God's expecting us to just like not take care of our children.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, there's smaller time, but it still matters. There's smaller time, but it's even like, so we went for, I can't remember how many months in, but we left our son with his grandparents and we went on a date during the afternoon. We went up to London and it was like being engaged again. Do you know what I mean? It was like just this sweet time of quality time together. And it was only for a few hours, but it just felt like it was worth weeks.
Yeah.
So I guess like, it's just finding that balance and
quality timing.
Quality time. It's like, then you get the whole thing of, okay, what about when I go on holiday with the kids?
That's a funny one. Depending on how old your kids are as well. My goal is to be able to bring the grandparents eventually.
Yeah.
So
bring
they can have
the childcare.
yeah, come with you. In Jesus' name, I need the money. But that's an interesting one because we went on 2 holidays this year and we've got 2 kids. In the first holiday, our little one was still just chilling, not doing much.
Yeah.
A few months later, on the second holiday, she was active.
Yeah,
that did not.
And you have to keep her busy, innit?
Yeah, and so again, the quality time is again very important. And so I remember on that second holiday, it was just before our life was about to change. My eldest was about to start school, youngest was about to start nursery, Leisha was about to go back to work. So it was meant to be the final relax, and it was a madness.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, this doesn't feel like a holiday. So I know she appreciates her love language, if you like, is quality time, which you're talking about, but also acts of service or gifts.
Yeah.
But all of them, to be fair, she loves them all. And I remember booking her a spa break in the holiday to just spend a couple of hours just getting pampered and stuff because I knew she needed that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what she really needed to relax and load. And whilst it was only like a 2-hour slot or whatever it was, that meant the world to her. And then she was recharged. Yeah. Which it just feeds back into the kind of the family and everyone's happy.
We did exactly the same thing. That's
really?
Jokes.
Really?
Yeah. When we went to Croatia when my son was before he was 1.
Okay.
Went to Croatia and there was a point where usually like when we go on holiday, we would go and do spa together and stuff like that. But I just paid for my wife to go and get it done herself and just give her that time.
Yeah.
Give her that time.
And your brownie points.
It made a difference because even though like in my head, you know, I was talking in the previous podcast about sometimes it's like, I felt like, oh, if I can't do it all, then I can't do it at all.
Yeah.
But actually me not being at work still made a difference.
Yeah.
Me not being on duty for somebody else still made a difference because I could be present even if she needs me to just look after him for a bit and just she has a break.
Yeah.
That made a difference. So I guess it's kind of like understanding what season you're in and adjusting according to the season, but still knowing that there's stuff we can do to contribute to each thing that we're stewarding in our marriages and in work and in finance in those seasons.
One of the scriptures I remember when thinking about work and the workplace at a time where I felt discouraged, and I come across this scripture in Colossians. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving.
Wow.
And I remember reading that because I think I was at the time concerned or discouraged about where I was in the workplace.
Yeah.
And God reminded me that it's not, there's way more to it.
Yeah.
And the things that you are doing is making a difference. And do you know what? There's a term that we use a lot, especially in church. You talk full-time ministry.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to someone and I was like, yeah, the full-time ministry, you know, one day I want to go into full-time
I
ministry.
used to say the same thing.
And the person pulled me up and he said, what you do, your 9 to 5 is your full-time ministry.
Exactly.
Because where you're placing yourself is where God wants you to be and where you can make a difference. And that was a game changer for me.
And even so, like, that's not to say that people who do church ministry full time, that there's anything wrong with that. But actually, we're called to seek God's kingdom first in every sphere of our lives. And understanding that actually changes the way that we approach things. So like you've read, working as though we're working for God, even if my boss is getting on my last nerve. And no, my boss, if you're watching, you're not one of those people who gets on my last nerve, okay? But even if I've, you know, maybe I'm in a job where it's difficult, the boss is really frustrating me. If I'm working as I'm working to God, then I approach it differently than I have a bit more grace, or maybe, you know, there's certain ways that I will pray, even when I go into the office, just to say, all right, Lord, I'm doing this for you. Help me to do it well. Give me wisdom because I want to make you proud. Because it sets a different standard to just trying to make a human being proud or make a business proud. Do you know what I mean?
It's a kingdom mentality, a kingdom perspective. Colossians 3, set your eyes on the things above, not the earthly or worldly things below. When you start thinking kingdom, I do believe that mentality shift changes your actions and how you approach certain situations and whatnot. Really
man. Powerful. Well, listen, we weren't expecting to do this episode, but a bonus episode has happened. Bro, it's been good having you down.
Oh, it's been great, man. Good conversation.
Yeah, man. Listen, again, I'll plug Living with the Lynches. I plugged them in the last episode. Go and follow Living with the Lynches on social media. I will put links to their stuff. Jermaine and his wife and his daughters, they do some really good content, good family content, there's some good food content in there as well still.
Some decent ones.
I'm not going to give it all away. You need to go follow them.
Check it out.
But yeah, stay blessed. We'll be back.